Miracle Babies Newborn Nursery here. I haven't been doing any real tutorial videos in some time because it always seems that something comes up. So today I really wanted to do another tutorial for you guys who like to learn as you go and have enjoyed watching my teachings. So today what I'm going to do is I've got a baby finished here and I'm going to put her together. So this will give you an idea of how much weight you need to use, what weight to use, what to put inside the baby, and then the process at the end of dressing her and everything. So I think it will help some people because some people just don't really know. They're not, maybe you've learnt how to reborn on YouTube or something, but no one around you, you don't even know an artist, so you can't ask them. So this might help you. Okay, so what I wanted to start off with was first what weights I use. Now please remember, as I always say to you, just because I use these weights doesn't mean you have to use these weights. Everyone is an individual, and as long as you're using pretty much the right kind of products, then there's no real right or wrong way to do it. So these here are all glass beads, which I'll show you individually soon. People also use inside their reborns, they might use poly pellets. I don't use poly pellets because I feel that they're too light, and what I'm actually trying to do is get some weight into my baby. So I found them too light, and they're quite expensive really for what they are. Other people use baby fat pellets. Now in Australia we don't have baby fat pellets, so I think I do have a sample of it here, but I can't be really sure, so I'm not really going to show you. But basically I think that they're like poly pellets, but I think they might be maybe a silicone base and feel a bit squishy. The weight in them from the one I have is quite nice, but like I said, we don't have them in Australia, and if I was to import them, it'd probably cost me a fortune just to get them over here, so we don't tend to really worry about that. So for the weight, I would suggest either any of these glass beads that I'm about to show you, poly pellets, baby fat pellets. Please don't use rocks or aquarium pebbles or sand. Those things, they're not refined, they're not ready to go into a new baby clean body. You might actually have an incident where because aquarium pellets or sand, they might get moldy. Yeah, so you don't really want that to happen. Okay, so let me show you down here using my mini camera. These are a little bit more close up. I'm just going to bend this down if it would like to bend down for me. Sorry, just going to be a millisecond. Alright, so these are my products. This one here is a coarse tumbled glass bead. So as you can see, it is it's a mixture of different color glass. It's very coarse. If you can look at it against my finger there, it's coarse. So I suggest this is really good to use inside the body or inside the head, as it's too crunchy to go into the limbs. This is a tumbled glass, so it's a really well priced product. It's one of the cheapest, as well as this one. This is also tumbled glass, but this is tumbled glass fine, or just I generally call it tumbled glass. So as you can see under my fingers there, it is a lot finer. And if you're buying this product, I would suggest that you use it in the limbs. Now they are both really well priced and very commonly purchased from my customers, and people accept them well. But what I use is, first I've got this fine. This is premium fine. Now this has been sitting on my desk, so it has actually absorbed the moisture from generally outside, but that's generally not what it looks like. It generally looks like this, nice and clean and free flowing. That's really dry, and that's how it'll always be in your kit anyway. but I'll just show you here how fine it is. It is super fine. So you can see it on my fingertip there. And it feels really nice. And why I use this product is not necessarily because it's a premium product. I use it more because I use it in the limbs, and I find that it gives like that effect of muscle tone in the limbs, and I really like that. So when you're giving the limb like a little squish like this, it feels like a muscle. Really feels like you're squeezing your own arm. So that's why I use that one for my limbs. And then for my body, I use the premium course. Now, excuse the little bits in there. I have customers that come over and love to play with this. You will know, if you're watching this, you will know that that's you. And that's all right. It's there to play with. But sometimes a little few bits flick over. So as you can see, this is more like, how can I describe it? Like little balls. Can you see that? Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, the premium is like little balls, and you can see them there in my fingers, tiny little balls. And this, I feel, feels amazing. I use this inside my bodies and inside the head as well. That's just me. Like I said before, I like to use that. Doesn't mean you have to use it. So once again, I'll just show you the 4 products. We've got the premium that doesn't have those little yellow dots in it either. That's the premium course, the premium fine, the tumbled glass, and the tumbled glass course. Okay, so let's get to making this baby, shall we? So I'll start. We'll just put that away. We'll start with the limbs. So I'll get my fine again here. I might have to keep my little camera here to show you some things as I go, hopefully. Okay, so like I said, fine. I'm using fine with the limbs, and basically just start with the legs. I've got like a little scoop here and the fine glass bead that I was talking about before. And what I do is I simply put it in the limb. And I fill it halfway. I used to fill it 3/4 of the way, but I found that my babies were often a little bit too heavy. I didn't think so at the time, but I did hear word from, other people that I deal with, other reborn artists, and even a competition I was in, that makes them feel a little bit unrealistic, too heavy, and then not comfortably weighted, So when I heard that, I decided to tone down my weight a bit, and what I do is I half fill all my limbs with the fine, premium fine, and then I have found a big difference. I found the weight to be much better. Now I've just got some polyfill here. You can just get the polyfill from any craft store. And I also wanted to mention before I go on that a lot of people might have to make custom babies. And when you make custom babies for someone and they say that their baby was 8-pound born and they would like their reborn baby 8-pound, you really have to deter them against that. Because what you're making when you're making a reborn baby of 8-pound, it is dead weight. So when a baby's born and it's 8-pound, it's not dead weight. Its muscles help to hold its weight, and it's not just, if you know what I mean, it sort of sounds a little bit weird, but that's exactly it. So we are holding our own muscles and not just dropping everything flat, and that makes us, I guess, appear lighter. Please forgive me if I've got this totally wrong, but I believe it is totally right, because an 8-pound reborn is so heavy, and it's not like when you're holding an 8-pound baby. It's different. So I normally would deter them against that. I don't know what a conversion that you could use from an 8-pound lightweight to an 8-pound dead weight. I don't know what you could use, but I generally try to make my reborns anywhere between 4 and 5 pound. And if they're too small, like this baby I'm making here, 18, 19 inches, you really can't go overboard. You know, you have to really just go with the flow of what it comes out like. So anyway, enough of me talking. So I'll just show you anyway, inside my limb, if you can see that, it's only half filled. You can see my finger is on the knee there, and that's where you can see it in there. And then I just fill the rest with polyfill. So one thing to do before you put the polyfill is just give it a squeeze, even a tap, to make sure it goes down all in the toes and it's all fulfilled in there. So then just fill it with your polyfill, like that. And you don't want it to be too squishy. You want it to feel like a bit like the fine glass beads in the bottom. You want it to be a nice solid squish, but not super hard. So that's like a nice squish. So I like that. So I'll go ahead and do the other limbs now. Okay, so I've finished filling the limbs. Won't need any more of this fine glass bead, and you can see I've hardly used any. So I believe it is worth paying the extra to get the premium fine glass bead. It'll last for a while. Many babies. Okay, so I've got my 4 limbs here, and what I do now is I like to seal them. Now, the sealing is another thing. Everyone does different things. I personally use plugs. They're these little white plugs, and they're about $1.30 each, and they're great. So I've got a plug tutorial. I will just post up above there, and that shows you what size that you might, how to size what plugs you need. So I need some 27 mils for the legs, so they just literally pop in. Nice and easy and nice and secure. Nothing's coming out of there. So I'll pop all those on. 20 mil for my arms. Once again, nice and secure. And as you can see, they just pop in. Sometimes they might be a little bit harder to push in, but that's okay. Now another idea that people use is, you know, like your felt that you get from the craft shops. They get that, they cut it into circles and they hot glue it on the end, and that works very well too. I personally like the plugs. Like I said, they're $1.30 each. They seal it really well. Nothing's coming out of it. It's not going to tear or rip. It's not going to disintegrate over time, which I think, you know, felt might do. So other people just glue material on, and some people just leave it blank. I personally don't want to leave it blank, especially because I'm using the premium fine glass bead. I think, you know, shaking it, cuddling the baby over time, a bit of the glass bead's going to work its way up to the thigh area, and then it'll come out into the body of the baby, and I just don't think that's really good. I really don't think that's good. Okay, so I've done my limbs. Now I've got my body. So your body should come something like this, depending on where you get it from. This has strings in, and some people like to use the strings. That's okay. I have suggestions that people use the strings for children if they're making a reborn for, or if they think that they might want to, you know, open it later, and maybe if you've got a heartbeat or something inside and you might need to open it to change the batteries from time to time, you might want to leave the strings on the neck or something. But I personally don't use the strings, so pulling all of that out, I use zip ties or cable ties, and I really suggest that you always get cable ties that have a micro tip end. Don't know how well you can see that there, but what it means is this end here is really small. If you get your zip ties from your local hardware, cheap shop, etc., you'll find that the ends are really bulky, and then when you go and say that was at the back of the neck, there'd be a big lump there and it really gets in the way. These micro ones tend to sit flush inside. They're easier to hide, so I would go with that. Anyway, I use the zip ties I sell, and most people sell for the micro ones, either come in the 14-inch or the 8-inch. Now, a lot of people might get a bunch of 14-inch and just do, that's fine, and just trim them away. But the 8-inch are cheaper, and we're always wanting to make a saving somewhere. Even if it's 10 cents, you know, years to come that will be something. So I use the 14-inch for my legs, 8-inch for arms, and I use the 14-inch for the neck. And yeah, unless of course you're using a tiny baby. So the little bodies, I'll just show you, because not everyone knows this. Just remember, not everyone has done it before, so they have no idea, and that's okay, you know. We all have different ideas. So as you can see there, here's my body, and I've pulled the strings out as you saw before, and now I'm just going to put the zip tie in there. Make sure your zip tie has the fat end coming outwards. We don't want it sort of going in like that. We want it to be like that. Okay. Now sometimes this can be challenging when you're putting the zip tie in, because it tends to sometimes get caught on the seams in there. So you've just got to wiggle it around and hope for the best that you get through that little hole, which I just did. Whoa! It's like winning the lotto. Okay, and there it comes out the other side. So it's as simple as that. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear giggling in the back. My daughter has her friend here who's a boy, so they're giggling. Okay, so I'll put all of those in. Give me a millisecond. Okay, so there we go. I've got my body with all the cable ties in. I was super lucky there. Everything flowed through like it was meant to be. All right, so let's put the legs on. So of course I'm going to use polyfill for the little 3/4 part here. Now, once again, you can practice and do other things. You don't have to use polyfill. I know a customer who actually makes little bags of the weight and puts them in there. She feels that's better. So you can, you know, play around with things and work out what works best for you. I like the polyfill. It's just how I've always done it. Now, when you're putting the polyfill in, don't overstuff it. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Reborns, and they've got this real mushy top of arms and then top of legs, and it really looks horrible. So don't overstuff it. What I normally do is I put my first lot in, I get my leg. Now please remember that your leg is on the right leg. Anyway, I start pulling my zip tie, but not all the way. And I have a look and I see, is it too, you know, empty? Does it need a little bit more? Is it overstuffed and muscly? This one I think needs a little bit more. So do that before you lock and load your cable tie. So see, there's still room for me to get the leg back in because I haven't fully tightened it. And I have a look at that. And see, I think that that's pretty good. It's not too much bigger than the leg itself, and it's squishy, so I find that's going to work well. So when you're tightening your zip tie, don't go hell-bent like that. Take your time, do it slow. I normally sort of wiggle my way, And as I'm wiggling, I'll have a stop and I'll see how my leg actually moves. Now, it won't move very well. There is some products people use in between the actual crease. I've had someone before use clear nail polish. I've had other people use Vaseline, and that tends to make it move more. I don't need to make it move too much because it's on the 3/4 limb and it's jointed there, so it's gonna do its moving. But I don't like to have it super tight either. How I know it's not too loose is if you pull back. Once again, I'll get my little nifty side camera. So if I pull back this area like that and I'm doing it really strong and it doesn't look like that joint there is going to pop out, then I'm pretty confident that it's not going to pop out. That's the main thing. You don't want your limbs or head to pop out on your customer. It can be very upsetting for some people. So just try to do that. And as you can see, it slowly rotates. So if they did want to have the bottom of the feet angled a different way, they can. So I would say, whoops, have a look at that. See how I've pulled that back there? Now I can pull that back too much, so I will give it a little bit of a pull again, and that's much better there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put all the limbs on now. Okay, so you can see my limbs are all on there. I haven't actually tightened up my arms fully at the moment because I wanted to show you. Say if you sit the baby in front of you, probably on your lap facing you like that, you need to think about how the hands are situated or arms and how would look good. So as you can see, her arms sort of flowing in through her body and touching, like her hand's almost touching her belly button. So if I was to do it that way, you know, do you think that looks very good? It looks really awkward. I guess it really depends on the baby's limbs, but if I was to do that on this, it just, can you see how silly that looks? It's just silly. So it does take that you need to think about as well. Get the arm in the right situation, and like I said, it's best to have it flowing through the body and towards the belly, and maybe the hand actually touching the belly. And then once you've got that nice look like that, then you can tighten it and make sure everything's the way you want. Because I mean, the customer can still move the hand. It is nice to be able to still move it, but generally for your photo purposes and just the way you want to present your baby, it's best to have it like in the right angle. And then once again, with this arm, it's a little bit different. I wouldn't necessarily have that one all the way bent in to its belly because I think that looks a bit silly. I think it looks nice if it's just sort of out like this. So use your own judgment. It's really one of those things, again, that there's no right or wrong way to do it. So I'm just going to check that this is recording because I'd hate to miss it. Yeah, it is. There's no right or wrong way to do it. This is just like a guide, and, you know, you may or may not want to follow it. That's totally up to you. This is just the way I do it. So I've got the body and the limbs all on, and we're ready to go with stuffing the body now. So what I do first is I get a bunch of polyfill this stuff really compacts. Like as you can see, that's quite a big amount, and it really compacts like that. So you can use quite a lot of polyfill. But personally, what I find with polyfill is over time, especially in the first few months of a reborn baby going home, I don't know, it just tends to lose its bulkness. So I do something else now, and this was a suggestion to me by the beautiful Jasmine from Baby Bugs Nursery, and I say that she is amazing. She's only been reborning for a year, but you know, please remember, as an artist myself, we keep learning from everyone. You know, new artists come up with ideas, old artists. You've really got to keep your an open mind about everything and just go with it. So when I'm putting the polyfill in the bottom, I don't put a lot in. I just want it sort of really to just fill out the bum area just a little bit. And like I said, it'll lose its bulkness over time. So please forgive me, Jasmine, if you don't like me saying about how you do inside the body, but I just think everyone should know because it's a great idea. Please love me. I know I'm crazy. Hey, anyway, I think I need a drink. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get it out anyway. What she uses is wadding. She's revolutionizing things. It's crazy. This is wadding. I think people use it like in furniture making and different things that you need like a cushioned sort of section between. It is brilliant. Now, I have always used polyfill, like always. But I always found out, and Jasmine actually pointed out to me that what I was seeing was right, is that people would put the polyfill in, and then, like I said, over time it loses its bulkness, and you'll find the baby in the middle, it doesn't sit right. Like it might feel like it's got no polyfill in the middle, or it just loses that middle section, that it loses the ability to have a body and bend nicely. So once again, this is just the way we do it. You don't have to do it this way. I just like it, so I'm going with it. So anyway, when I get the wadding, I like to cut out, like, think about how long the baby's body is. So let's say it's only really short, and then I'll cut out that sort of section, a nice little sort of rectangle piece. You don't really need to use much. So this stuff goes a long way. Go there. Okay, so there's my wadding. Okay, and then what I do inside my wadding is I'm going to put my weight pack. So I will get, what I've got for that is a stocking. Now, my best thing to do, I go, as everyone probably knows who watches me, I go to garage sales and markets a lot with my husband, and whenever I'm out and about, I look for people selling stockings, old stockings, and they're selling it for 50 cents or $1. Another saving that all helps. So I got this, and you can see, look at that. That is so vintage. It's probably from, let's see if it's even got a date on it. Not that that's important, but it's just kind of funny. It just, to me, looks really old, like it's from back in the 50s or something. Anyway, I remember I went to a garage sale. People were selling a bag of old stockings, and it cost me $5 for a bag. And they were all brand new. And a lot of them were fantastic quality. So I like to do that. Otherwise, just go to Woolies. I don't know what you guys have there, Walmart or something like that. But I would just go to my local supermarket, and I'll just buy like the home brand stockings. I think they're $2 or $3 for a pair, and a pair will literally do 2 babies generally. So what I want to do is cut a section. Now I'm going to cut I'm going to make 2 weight bags, and I want them within the same stocking. So what I'll do is I'll probably cut about that amount, which is probably from my wrist to my elbow section. Let's cut that. Great, and put that aside for there for now. So we've got our weight. So I have got my premium glass bead here, and I'll grab my little cup. Now my little cup, you might notice, is actually just the lid of a baby bottle, so it doesn't have to be anything. Our medicine glasses are really great as well. Even better, something with a little spout, like a little cup that you pour in. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is fill that. Well, not fill it, but just probably just a rough estimate. I'm probably going to do about 4 or 5 of those. Let's have a look. So once it's filling up, let it compact in so it turns into a little ball like that. Feels really nice, and you've got to be a good judge. So you've got to start thinking about how much you want the baby to weigh, and you don't want to overweight it. So I like to have a little bit more weight towards the bottom area, so I'm just going to put like another scoop in there. So that's a nice size, just like the palm of my hand really. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to tie it off. Now please remember, this is just the way I do it. You don't have to do it this way. Okay, so there we go. We've got a stocking filled there with the glass bead weight, and it's a nice size. So I'll just put that, I won't put it too far, I'll just put it there. So I've got there, you might be able to see. Let me see if I can video this a bit. I don't know how many seconds I've got left. I've got an SD card on here who doesn't like to take much in. It's kind of rude. Okay, so I've got 30 seconds. Thanks very much. Anyway, so there's my weight there. And then I have a Scentsy pack. So the Scentsy pack, you get that from a company in Australia. I don't know if you can get this overseas. But if you can't, actually, let's see on the back. I think it's a company, an Australian, New Zealand company, I think. So I'm sure that you'd be able to get this overseas. It's normally like, you know how you have a Tupperware party? Well, people in Australia have a Scentsy party where you can buy all scented items, scent packs, candles, different things like that. Anyway, in my description below this video, I will put a link to Belinda, who I get my Scentsy packs from in Australia. And you could even ask me if you want, and I could get them for you and send them over to you. So I'll just pop that out of there. So if you're wondering again what I'm talking about, a Scentsy pack, as you can see, is this little pack. And what it is filled with is little scented balls that smell like baby powder. It is amazing. I can't recommend it more. I mean, I sell powder wafers, and a lot of people might use powder wafers, and don't get me wrong, they're fantastic. I recommend them. I sell them. I used to use them for years, and they're great. You know, your customers get their babies and they smell like baby powder. They smell so good and they just want to snuggle with them. But this one goes one more better. But obviously when I like a little scented wafer, powder wafer, is like 50 cents or something for one. I think these are about, forgive me if I'm wrong, but anywhere between $15 to $20. Actually, no, I think they're less. I think they're around $10 each. They're not too bad, but I buy them in bulk, so that's why I can't really get what calculations I get at the moment. But anyway, yeah, even if you're paying $10 or something for that, the scent emanates through the whole baby, and it's supposed to last up to 6 months. But I've had people that have, you know, still had them later, and still can smell that beautiful baby powder scent. So if you want to go that step better with your reborn babies, get a Scentsy pack. Okay, so what I do here is between my little weight ball. Now, like I said, I've only got like 30 seconds left on this thing here, so I'm not going to go all day with it. So I've got my weight ball, I put my Scentsy pack, and then I literally roll them up together. Like that. Okay? So as you see, this is what I've got. I've got a cylinder. In the cylinder in the bottom, I've got my weight pack. In the middle there, I've got my Scentsy pack. And then at the top, I've got my stocking. And yes, you can get it right. I'm going to put weight in there. But this, at this stage, is going inside my baby. So as you can see, it's probably a little bit longer than my baby, but that's all right because I'll be able to push down the top. So just pop that in. Like that. Now as you can see, my baby can sit up now. It's got that cylindrical shape like our own bodies, and if you were to feel it, like it just has a nice feel. It's a little bit more solid, but I just really like it. I can't recommend it enough actually. So I'm just going to give my baby a little weight at the moment. I'm just going to weigh it. Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to weigh it. I've got my weighing machine here, so I'll just put the baby on there. So I just want to get a bit of a guide at how I'm going with the weight. So that's 1.2 kilos. Please, if you don't have yours yet, get yourself a conversion chart. I sell these at Aussie Reborn Supplies. I think they're $4.50 Australian. And if you're getting it sent overseas, I think it's $2.85 for postage. But they're fantastic. I made them myself. I know you might have your own conversions and that's great, but this is really great to put up on your wall. It's laminated, put up on your wall, and you can always do your conversion rate. So 1.2 kilos, which is like 1,200 grams, now converts to £2 11 ounce. So it's a little bit light for me. So I'm going to keep going with the weight. And don't forget, I've still got the head at the end that's going to be weighted as well. So open the little pack at the top and start putting some extra weight in there. Now these scales I've got beside me are just your general big kitchen scales, as you can see. I do actually have the baby scales like they have in the hospitals, but I'm a bit strapped for area of putting it, so I tend to just commonly use that. It just does exactly the same. I use my baby scales if I want to do a picture or something, more of a photo opportunity thing. So I'll weigh that again, making sure that we don't spill it. Sit up there, little baby. Okay, so we're already at 1,400 grams. So now I'm at £3 2 ounces. So I'm getting much better to where I want to be. So I'm going to leave the baby at that stage at the moment. I'll come back to that after I find the weight of the head. So you can just sit there, little baby buddy. Okay, so now we've got the head. Now it's all glued into place and ready to put the filling in. I haven't cut any hair or eyelashes or anything yet, so I'll do that at the end. Alright, so let's get that going. So what I need for that is I need another piece of the pantyhose or stocking. Just a piece. I'm going to actually, because I cut that in before, I'm going to tie that in a knot. So if you can imagine tying that in a knot, nice and tight, and then how stretchy, so to be how bulky you need. And then you're going to put another knot. So I'll do that about the same size as I did before, really. Okay, now first I put a little bit of polyfill in there, and then I put my stocking inside the head, open it up, and then we can put all the glass bead in. Making sure that's in there. So let's say I'll put 3 of those little cups in. Remember, they're only tiny little lids, so don't go putting 3 cups in. And then what I do is, once again, you've got to use your own mind. I gauge how much it feels, and that at the moment feels too light. So you can just generally think about what a baby's head would feel like if it was resting in your hand, like how much it would weigh. Okay, so that's probably a little bit too heavy. So that was about 4 little lids there. Just empty some out. Okay, and that's much better. So just to get an idea of how much the head weighs, it weighs at the moment about 400 grams. So that's almost 15 ounce, so it's almost a pound. So I'll just tie that off now, and it can roll around in there. Okay, now I normally put my weight bag towards the back of the head because I like it to have that newborn baby fall back on like that. But if you plan to have your baby sitting up and displayed, you're probably better to have the weight packed towards the forehead, because then it's more likely to sit nicely while it's on display. So then I just fill it with some more, pack it up with some more polyfill. Just checking my time. Now, don't overpack it with polyfill. I remember when I first started, I kept feeling the head and it was too squishy, so I kept adding the polyfill, and then once I'd finished, I looked at it before I put the head on, of course, before I put it onto the body, and it was like it just blown all out of proportion. So try to remember to look at the proportions on your baby's face, and you don't want to unproportionalize that. I'm going to take the dummy off because I don't need that now. It's all secured into place. Okay. So once again, just give it a light squeeze to feel if it's missing anything. Now I feel that's missing some in the bottom of the cheeks there. So I'll just fill out that a little bit down the bottom. And then, like I said, check the look of the face and make sure it's not out of proportion. So next what I do is I use a neck ring. You don't have to use a neck ring, but I recommend it. They're only $1.30. And what you do is when you put the neck ring on, it then allows the head to move freely side to side if you've over tightened the cable tie or zip tie. So what you do is you put it on this angle like that, so then this groove here sits right in the groove of the neck. Some are easier to get on than others. So just squish this in. This one, I have to say, is easier. And you can also get your scissors to help you out a little bit by just sort of levering up the neck. And also make sure to try to keep your hair out of that area so it doesn't get stuck under the neck ring. Okay, so as you can see, I've got that on now. It's sitting nicely in the groove, and it's going to be very helpful. And of course, I have a plug. I always use plugs, and it's a mighty big plug. It's going to go in there, and might be a bit challenging to go in. No, we've popped in there. So as you can see, that just looks totally finished really nicely, like I've actually cared about what I'm doing. Okay, so I think it's time to get Mrs. head on her body. Okay, so with the head all filled and the weight of the body almost filled, I'm going to put the head onto the lap on the scales with the baby and convert it So it's coming up at about 1900 grams. So 1900 grams converted to pound is about 4 pound 4 ounces. So I feel that's a really good baby weight. It's really quite good. So as I was talking about before, if you can imagine an 8 pound baby. An 8 pound baby would be 3,600 grams. So that's quite a lot. You know, if you consider, you know, that the head is full, it's a really nice, it's not too heavy and it's definitely not too light, and that's all filled up. And this baby, as you can see, is all like almost ready to go. If I was to add more weight, it would be fat as with weight, and it would be heavy and it wouldn't feel nice at all. So I find that's a really good size, good weight. I'm feeling it tiny bit light, so I'm just going to add a couple more scoops into that still open chamber there. That'll be fine, and then I'm going to tie that off. Just like that. So then what you do is just sort of wiggle this in to the body section. So it just wiggles down really easy and folds over itself. Then you look at the body yourself, you sort of hold it up in front of you, you give it a squish, oh, it feels really nice, and you think to yourself, if you were the customer, what would you like? Would you like a bit more? See how I can squish that and it can squish down, but it's not going to totally fold over itself? That's because of the wadding. It's fantastic. So you've got to work out then whether you need a little bit more polyfill or whether you like the fact that the customer's going to be able to really cuddle that nicely. So I'm just going to have a look. I think by looking at it like that, it looks a little bit skinny in this section, like it needs a little bit of filling. So you just simply get your polyfill, and we don't want to overdo it. We don't want it to be all, you know, totally fat. So I'm just going to stick that down the front just to fill in a few of those lines. Doesn't even need that much, because I still want it to be flexible. I don't want it to be like totally stiff. But remember what I said before, the polyfill tends to like not disintegrate, but it just gets less during the time. So I suggest not using much. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to make sure that that little poly bag, the bag of weight I've got in there, I'm going to make sure that that's all covered up. And so it's just sitting nicely like that. Okay, so now it's time for the head to go on. Nice and easy part. So just put the cable tie into itself so we can zip it up. And then you've got to sit the head on top while you're holding it and just see to what degree you want it to be pulled out. If you put it at the front, it might bunch up funny at the back, if you know what I mean. So I normally try to put it in the middle and then start to pull the zip tie in like that. So then, just like we did with the limbs, we don't want the cable tie to be pulled too much, but we don't want it to be too loose. Too loose, the head falls off and the customer is extremely upset. Too tight and the head won't turn at all. Even though I've got a neck ring on, it still won't turn. So we don't want it to be too tight. Now, you can't really see that, but when I pull that back, I can see it's going to pop out if I don't do it a little bit tighter. So a little bit tighter. Just keep bending it, and up, it still will pop out. That's much better. And let's have a look at the rotation. Really nice. I'm really happy with that. Aren't you beautiful? This baby, by the way, is called Ruby Rose. And she's been waiting for a while to be created, so her mum will be very grateful. So as you can see, I feel that sits nicely. Its head holds its own if it had to, although I hate it when a sleeping baby is sitting up. But it all feels really nice. The body feels nice to cuddle and everything. So the next part is to cut the zip ties. Okay, so I personally use a scalpel. Other people use like your toenail or nail clippers, and that can be very good too because it's nice and quick and easy. I'm going to keep using my scalpel because that's just the way I do it. Okay, so you can lay on your belly there for a moment, little princess. And when I cut with the scalpel, I cut using a V. Now, hopefully I've got some moments left on this so I can show you how I do it. I got 11 seconds. Woo! I cut down in a V, down that way and then down this way. And it pops off. Okay, so I'm sure you saw my little V there before my time ran out. Thank you very much, camera. Anyway, so when I cut down in a V, I do that because then I'm going to make sure there's no, like both of my edges come down into a V and there's no spiky bits on either side. And if there is, like there's a tiny bit here, I can just simply get my scalpel and just trim it off. What you really want to make sure, and I can't say enough, is you want to make sure there is no sharp bits there. Because the sharp bits, you don't know who's going to hold it. And if the sharp bits, you know, scratch a customer or their child, they're not very happy, which I've had happen before. No fault of my own, but it did happen. Now I'm going to try the clippers so I can give my own idea of that. Quick, easy, and I have to say is very nice and smooth. Mine is smooth, but I guess with the V coming in gives it a bit of a rough look. The clippers definitely give it a quick, clean, smooth cut. So guess what? You have just witnessed me converting myself to clippers. So do it either way. I guess it depends on what stage you're at. Okay, so I'm going to do the clippers on this one too because I just liked that. And it does feel really smooth. It's a really perfect cut. Okay, so now I've got the head one to cut still, but before I do that I like to make sure, because when I cut my head cable tie, that's when I say it's born. So I don't want it born yet. I want to, you know, do all the fidgeting and that first. So I'm going to do my little haircut now and start with the eyelashes. Now you probably can't see this as much, so I think I better get my little camera ready to go again. Okay, so hopefully I've got enough space on there just to do a little bit. You can see baby's eyelashes are really long there. Now they're glued on the inside, so all I really need to do is just come along with my shears. I've recommended my shears before and I recommend them again. They're just so easy. You just give them a quick squeeze and they're done. So I'll just trim that. And you can even wet them down if you want to see if they're too long and, you know, give them another trim back later. Because sometimes you might have a flyaway eyelash. A bit harder to do with this side of baby. So as you can see here, yes, they are rooted eyelashes. And I do rooted eyelashes in all my sleeping babies. It's really easy. You're going to be able to glue them really easy. It's definitely going to be secured for your customer. You have no worry about them falling out. Okay. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But as you can see, I've just trimmed them back there, and I'll check that again before I finish. Okay, so with the hair, you've seen me do it before, I'm sure. I've got my little baby toothbrush, just comb it all into the the area and where you want it to sit, and just trim around the edges and then trim up everything else. So I'll speed that up so I'm not spending all day on it with you. Okay, so her hair's all trimmed up the way I want it to be trimmed. I haven't yet set it by brushing it or anything with the conditioning spray, but that's all right. I will now cut the back cable tie, which will mean it is birth time. So I've got my little clippers here like I had before, and I'll check the time and cut. 1, 2, 3. Oh, didn't go that quick. Okay, it's 11:50 a.m. on Friday, the 22nd of July. Happy birthday, Ruby! So now I'm just going to quickly dress her while I've got you on screen so you can see her all done. Okay, every baby needs a nappy, so I've just got like a little Pampers nappy here. I'll put that on her. I often use different types of nappies, but lately I've been liking the Pampers because I just love the yellow tabs they have there. It's really nice. Okay, just make sure that nappy's sitting correctly. And with all my babies, I always like to put on a little singlet. So I've got a little pink singlet for her here. Now I'm not sure about the outfit yet. I've got a couple of little ideas here. So I'll just work with them and see what looks good. So while I'm dressing her, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but lately I am making sure I post a video every Wednesday. That's Wednesday morning for us in Australia. And I think it actually comes out Tuesday night for other people in other parts of the world. Different times everywhere, I guess. But I'm trying to do that every week. I'm finding that I have a lot of videos to make, whether it to be tutorial or an event I'm at, or even a Q&A. I'm finding I've always got something to do lately, so it's been working out well, and I will keep doing that. That's my promise to you. Once a week, one video, and I guess sometimes from time to time there might even be 2 videos if I'm backlogging with lots of videos. So I've just got this little onesie I've put on her there. Nice stripy colours. And my decision is based now on the pants. I've got 2 pairs of pants. One, I've got this white pair of pants with the frilly back, and I was going to match it with a little white tutu. Or I've got the lilac with grey leggings, and I've got like a little pink cardigan. So I'm not sure what's going to look best. So I think I'll just start with the white, and if it looks good, I think the colours will match better than with the lilac. So I'll try and put that on. Put your little pants on. Who doesn't love a frilly bum? That's quite cute. I'm just not sure about the skirt because I'm not sure if it'll fit. It's not too bad. I could probably like sew it in the corners and see how that works. I'll put the little cardigan on. I just love this cardigan, and I pretty much based the whole outfit around the cardigan because it's just so sweet, and it's winter here, so I thought it would be a nice look as well. Get your little hand in there. Ruby Rose. Pull it down at the back. And I'll just pop the button up to the front. Okay. So I really love the cardigan, that's for sure. Not really sure about the skirt still. It might look better once I have pulled it together, like I said. It's definitely cute. Okay, I'll just leave it there for a minute. And I always love to put I love knitted booties. I can't go past them. I think they're just the most sweetest thing on little babies. Of course you get little different socks and shoes and everything, but newborns as such, always love the knitted look. It's more, gives it also that more vintage look too. Okay, gotta love the knitted booties. It's really played it nice. Okay, and then of course I give little mittens so they don't scratch their faces. I think she looks quite nice like that actually, but I'll definitely have to tighten the skirt, and she'll need a nice little lace headband. And I've got this little bib here which is cute too, but I don't know if I'll place it on her or just send it off with her. It says sweet, Mummy's sweetheart. So once I get her with the nice little headband on and brush her hair down, she'll look really, really cute, and I'm really ready to photograph her. So thanks for watching this tutorial, long as it is. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you did get something out of it. If anything, you've just met Ruby Rose, even seen her before her mummy has. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, remember you can always ask in the comments below. And please subscribe to me and give me a thumbs up. I would love to see if I can make it to 100 thumbs up on this video. Please make it happen. Make my thumbs up happen. So do that, and thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.